So, how much should you actually be investing every single month based on your salary? Well, if you're a focused learner looking to really master your money and build some serious long term wealth, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're cutting through all that financial noise to break down the exact math, the precise frameworks, and the actionable steps you need to figure out precisely how much of your hard earned paycheck should be put to work. Let me just ask you directly, are you investing the right amount right now based on your current income? It's a question that keeps a lot of us up at night. You might feel like you're saving a ton, or maybe you feel like you're constantly falling behind. But honestly, without a clear benchmark, it's really just guesswork. In this explainer, we are totally removing that guesswork and giving you a dynamic roadmap. All right, let's dive right in by looking at a great foundational macro framework, the 50-30-20 budgeting rule. Popularized by Elizabeth Warren back in 2006, this simple rule divides your after-tax income into three pretty neat buckets. So 50% goes to your absolute needs, right? Rent, groceries, utilities. Then 30% is for your discretionary wants, dining out, entertainment, those late-night food delivery impulse buys. But the ultimate wealth-building engine, that lies in the final 20%, the portion dedicated entirely to savings and debt repayment. Now, zooming in on that overall 20% bucket, personal finance data suggests a really clear, highly effective guideline. You should aim to actually invest 10 to 20% of your pre-tax income. Notice the critical distinction there. Your 20% savings bucket might cover short-term goals or paying off student loans, but your ultimate target for pure wealth-generating investments, that should hover right in that 10 to 20% sweet spot. Let's put some concrete, real-world numbers to that 10 to 20% target just to see what it actually looks like. If you're bringing in $20,000 a month, your automated investment goal should be somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000. Scaling all the way up to the $100,000 mark, that means $10,000 to $20,000 systematically flowing into your diversified portfolios. Seeing the math stacked up like this just completely removes the guesswork, doesn't it? It's just simple math. But listen, let's be incredibly realistic for a second. Personal finance is exactly that. It's personal. It is definitely not a one-size-fits-all situation. That rigid 10 to 20% rule, it has to bend based on your actual life. If you live in a city with a massive housing crisis, or if your emergency fund is currently sitting at zero, or if you're drowning in high-interest debt, your target is going to shift. And that is perfectly okay. The goal here is progress, not perfection. For example, in a really tight housing market where rent is just exorbitant, your essential needs can easily chew up over 60% of your take-home pay. In that case, the math might need to shift to a 65% for needs, 25% for wants, and 10% for savings split. The vital takeaway here is that even when money is incredibly tight, you preserve a minimum 10% investment habit. You never ever want to completely shut off that compounding machine. So where exactly should those investment rupees go first? You don't want to just throw money blindly at the stock market. You deploy it strategically based on the financial order of operations, which is a renowned 9-step wealth-building system that optimizes risk-adjusted rates of return. Let's quickly walk through the absolute most critical first steps. Priority Tier 1 is securing your full employer match. If your company offers a 401k or a Provident Fund match, you contribute exactly enough to get every single cent of it. Why? Because it is literally free money. It's a 100% immediate return on your investment. If you leave this on the table, you are essentially taking a voluntary pay cut, and absolutely nobody wants that. Step 2 is a hard pivot to defense, eliminating high-interest debt. You absolutely must pay off consumer debt, especially credit cards, before you start aggressively hyper-accumulating investments. Why? Because credit card debt is, as financial experts accurately call it, chainsaw dangerous. The 20% or higher interest you're paying a bank will vastly outpace the 8 to 10% you might make in the stock market. It is quite literally a mathematical wealth destroyer. Once that toxic debt is gone, step 3 is securing your protective shield, a solid 3 to 6 month cash emergency fund. If you start heavily investing in stocks without an emergency fund and say your car breaks down or you lose your job, you'll be forced to sell your investments, possibly at a huge loss, just to survive. Cash protects your investments from the everyday turbulence of real life. Now, a super quick caveat about debt here. Low interest debt is an exception. Things like a reasonable mortgage or certain low-rate student loans, generally anything with an interest rate under 4 or 5% should not delay your investing journey. Mathematically speaking, the long-term returns of a diversified market portfolio will easily outpace a 3% loan. So you just keep paying the monthly minimums on those and direct your extra cash flow straight toward investing. But why is there such a huge rush to start these steps today? Well, we need to talk about the cost of delay and the sheer mathematical reality of compound interest. The absolute biggest mistake people make is waiting until they make a higher salary to start investing. Let me show you why starting today, right now, is literally the most powerful thing you can do for your future self. Consider this tale of two investors. Because of the steep curve of compounding, a 20-year-old only needs to save about $95 a month to accumulate $1 million by age 65. Just $95. That's it. But if our second investor delays saving until age 40, they have to pump massive, drastic amounts of capital into the market every single month just to catch up. Time is the greatest multiplier of wealth, vastly outweighing the actual dollar amount you contribute. To help you figure out if your compounding is on track, financial institutions like Fidelity have actually developed age-based milestones. This is a great, quick health check for your finances. Aim to have 1 times your annual salary saved and invested by age 30. By 40, you want 3 times your salary. By 50, 6 times. And by 60, aim for 8 times your salary. If you're a little behind, don't panic. Just bump up that savings rate we talked about earlier. The golden rule of wealth building really boils down to this. Consistency always beats market timing. Automating your investments so that 10 to 20% leaves your account every single month without you even having to think about it is the ultimate secret. Whether the market is up, down, or going totally sideways, you buy. Even if you can only start with a small amount right now, just start today. Which brings us to the end of our explainer, and I have one final question for you to answer right now. What is the very first step you will take today? Are you going to sit down and set up a budget? Go capture that free employer match? Or finally automate that monthly transfer? Please, don't let this just be another explainer you consume and forget. Take the math, apply it to your next paycheck, and start building your financial independence today. Thanks for learning with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.